Hey kids, I'm Kamau.
I'm Selena.
And we're with the City and Beyond. We wanted to sit down and have a chat with you about a topic that you love hearing from us.
Airlines.
In this video, we'll be sharing with you how we chose the airlines for some of our trips, because we know choosing an airline can be difficult, especially if you need it to fit your travel style and your wallet.
Remember to subscribe for travel videos that will help you optimize your time off. Join our part-time travel crew.
And without further ado, let's get started. We'll start with some basic deciding factors. The first and most obvious one is the destination, because if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. When choosing an airline, it's important to choose the destination first. Reason being, if you are going on a short trip, then a budget airline would probably be best for you because you're not going to be in the air for that long. So someone like Spirit to go on an 1.5 to 2 hour flights, completely justifiable for us. You may be different. If it's a longer flight going across the country or to another country, you probably want something that has a bit more accommodations for you.
And like Kamau said, for airlines like Spirit, we wouldn't go to every destination with Spirit. Meanwhile, with JetBlue, we would pretty much go anywhere with them.
When choosing your airline, it's also a good idea to look up the hubs for the airlines that you're looking up. An example would be Newark has a United hub. So when you fly with them on United, they're a bit more accommodating and they have a bit more flexibility for you. And it's a good thing to think about. I think
American Airlines has a hub in North Carolina and Charlotte. The terminal is usually up to date and more appealing, comfortable, and the airline is usually more flexible because that's their hub. That's like having your corporate office. Obviously, price is the biggest factor for us. We enjoy getting inexpensive flights. If it's just the two of us, it's way easier to just get the cheapo flight and deal with whatever comes with that price. When we're with other people like family or friends, we try to meet somewhere in the middle so that we're not paying a crazy amount of money for a flight that we've experienced, you know, like a lower price tag for before. We just try to go a little bit more realistic to what everyone else usually pays for those flights. But if it's just the two of us, the price, if the airline is cheaper, it already gets it. Like, it doesn't mean that we're definitely going with them, it just gets them a little higher on the list. Or it makes us pay attention to that airline.
Exactly that. More often than not, when it comes to airlines and flights, you pay for what you get. So keep that in mind, and we'll actually kind of circle back around to this a little bit later. Number 3, perks. A lot of airlines offer things like snacks, free drinks, amenity kits. Some of them do check bags, but we don't do those here, do we? So sometimes you want to think about, if you're in a flight for a long time, you're going to want some snacks. Maybe some drinks to relax you, help you to go to sleep. Amenity bags are great because some of them have the night mask, socks, toothbrush, toothpaste, earplugs, things that you need to help you get by. These are things that you kind of want to consider. Is it the deciding factor? Absolutely not. Is it a extra credit on the assignment? Absolutely.
And some examples are like JetBlue gives you unlimited amount of snacks to economy, first class, business class, everybody. Whereas, like, I'm trying to think of international flights, you get those amenity packs, which includes all the stuff that Kamau said, or allows you to like check in 2 free bags or something like that.
And almost every international flight I've ever been on has free drinks. Keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, drinks. That was actually my point.
Adult and kiddie beverages.
Yeah, drinks are free. Alcoholic drinks are free.
That's not a deciding factor. It's just a perk, like we said. So if it's like a B plus airline and I see they have all these perks, it bumps it up to an A-. So,
exactly, yeah.
Number 4, flight time. Depending on where you're going, you want to get there in a relative amount of time. So when factoring it in, you want to see what time you're leaving, how long it's going to take for you to get there, and whether or not there are any layovers involved.
As mentioned in our previous videos, we are really into the economy class and not spending the extra money on first class. So flight time actually determines a lot of like our comfort. So we're big sticklers on being comfortable during our flights, specifically long haul flights. If it's a short haul flight, aka we're going from New York to New Orleans, we don't mind flying something like Spirit or Frontier, or you know, if you're going from Paris to London, it's fine being uncomfortable for 2 hours, maybe even 3. But once it gets over that 4-hour mark, we are really big on being comfortable. So absolutely, the length of the flight does factor into our decision of choosing an airline. We've never flown China, Eastern, Western, Southern, or Northern because we are actually really fearful of having a long haul flight that really starts off or ends a trip really badly in discomfort.
I'd rather be comfortable in a flight that takes a little bit longer than to be uncomfortable in a flight that gets me there faster. However, this is for us. You have to accommodate this or design this for what works specifically for you. I like to stretch out my legs, and I don't necessarily want to have to sit in the aisle and stop a flight attendant from walking through or someone going to the bathroom because I'm trying to relax. So having an airline that has my knees completely in my chest, an exaggeration, is not ideal for a 5 to 8 hour flight. So these are things that you need to keep in mind. And
no, we don't think that it makes sense to buy first class flights just to have or guarantee that comfort.
No. Number 5, airports. Ideally, we like to take trips that return us to the airport that we flew out of. However, there have been times where we get one that does not do that. These are things that you need to factor in because sometimes these flights can be less expensive, have a better time for you, but that also requires more travel plans for when you return. There's also airports that are far away from the actual destination that you plan on going. I can't think of what the media is.
Well, for one of our trips that actually aren't, like we don't have a video about, is we went to London and then took a bus to Paris. Our flight to London actually ended up being a flight to Gatwick Airport, and then we took the train from Gatwick to London. And we consciously knew, I've been to the UK before, so I knew that it was gonna, and we looked at the map, we knew it was gonna be a distance away from the city center, but we preferred the price over the comfort or the convenience of just being in the city, in the city that we were actually planning on going to. And we did the same thing for a lot of our compound trips, where we did fly to Louisville instead of directly to Nashville, because flying to Louisville was cheaper than flying directly into Nashville for, what was that, New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So we actually saved money and got to see a new town, but that's in our comfort zone. Like, we're okay with that. So we are definitely looking to make more videos about things like our compound trips, like we like to call them. So don't miss out on that, because I know a lot of people have asked us, like, how do we determine when we do or don't fly into the destination that we're actually aiming to get to? And we'll break that down a little bit. And honestly, it's not really that complicated. It just really depends on your comfort level, or how bad you want to save that money.
How bad you want to save that money.
How bad you want to save that money. Now, there's some factors that actually pertain to just short haul / domestic flights or international long haul flights.
Which brings us to number 6, domestic short haul flights. When it comes to domestic flights, we typically like to do the basic economy flights. It meets most of the boxes that we need to check off. Thankfully, American Airlines kind of have a standard about size and comfort, and then there are other boxes to check off, customer service wise and what have you. And these are things you need to factor with basic economy. For those who don't know, you do not get a check bag. We don't do them anyway. You cannot choose your seat, but they usually sit you together if you book the ticket together.
Basic economy, you get a personal bag in some cases and no carry-on, but that really depends from airline to airline.
Right.
And basic economy is different from budget airlines. So basic economy, and we'll talk more about this in another video as well, basic economy is a regular like airline that's giving you or offering you a seat for a fraction of the price of their regular economy seat. So it's still an economy seat, just you're paying less and you're being restricted on like when you can cancel, or if you can get any money back if you cancel, if you can pick your seat like Kamal said,
right.
and you don't get a check back.
But you don't need those, do you?
I was really harping on this, not checking in bags.
Another factor that we need to bring up is a lot of airlines offer flight cards. United, Delta, I mean actually every airline has a sponsored card, and those sponsored cards, if you book your flight with them, they wind up giving you back some of the perks with basic economy, so it still makes sense. If you do check bags and you use, for instance, the United Explorer card, you do get check bags with basic economy. That is a perk that they give you. You also get priority boarding when you use these cards, on top of the miles that you would normally get when you use them.
For us, what that means is when there's a United flight and an alternative airline, and they're the same price, going to the same destination from the same departure airport, most likely we'll pick the United flight because we have perks and we get miles with that airline already, with our being card members. And if you're thinking about joining an airline card member program, our United one is actually linked in the description below.
And for our final point, we're going to be talking about long-haul international flights. You already know how we feel about some of our international flights. What you don't know is how we arrived to the conclusion that this was the airline we are going to take.
Similar to short haul or domestic flight, we are usually initially drawn to the price. If the price is cheaper than the average or high asking price for a certain destination, the price is obviously an initial draw. After we find something within the price range we're looking to pay for this flight, we pay attention to the airline. We see like, okay, well, what do other people say about this airline? We search online, and we also watch a lot of YouTube videos. Not a lot are usually, especially for long haul flights, a lot of times they don't always have economy class review videos, which is why we started making our own. But any information I can find about the airline, we like watch, read, search, and people tell us about them, their experience. And a good example of this is Qatar Airways, because we went to Nepal, and before we booked those flights, I actually had 3 airlines in mind, and that was Qatar, Etihad, and Emirates. And I really thought that we were going to end up on Emirates because everyone talks about how amazing it is, but then I quickly realized that they thought it was so amazing because of business and first class. And so the more I looked into all 3, I realized that Qatar had a superior economy class, just from everyone's input and videos and articles and blogs that I had read. And I really had to like shift my thinking, because I was like, oh wait, we're gonna do this Qatar Airways and we have a layover in Doha? Like, it was totally not what I was thinking. And then the price was perfect. So that's a good example of like, we like took in consideration, like my husband is not going to fit in a small seat. And for a long haul flight, who wants to eat bad food the whole time or not eat? It was really nice to make sure that we had like a great first long haul experience by picking the correct airline.
Spoilers, it was amazing.
It's still like one of our favorite airlines.
Absolutely.
Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly. Unexpectedly. I know a lot of people, when looking up airlines, they like to look up what aircraft they're flying in. I'm gonna say we typically don't do that, because even if they say you're going to fly on a certain type of plane, it can switch last minute.
Yeah.
And then you wind up on an older plane or a newer plane. It's really what they have available. They just tell you what kind of class of plane you're going to be in. Also, we're not like airplane
Aircraft people.
connoisseurs to know the major difference. So that's how we determine how we buy our flights. I hope this information has helped you. I hope that we gave you some concise information for the next time you book your travel plans.
And if you want to look at our airline reviews, just look at the links in the description below. Before you click the next video,
remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment on this video. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Pro tip. We're like pro tip, like that, so it pops up in between. Pro tip, like that. We're gonna do it. Pro tip, like that. We're gonna pro tip, like that. No?
Okay.
I'm asking a question.
Yeah, we
question.
could
Okay.
do something like that.
Okay.
Obviously,
when it comes to where you're flying, you want to save the money in your wallet and not give it to the greedy airlines.
realistically,